The storm had been violent enough to shake the mountains. Elias Rowan felt it even inside his stone homestead, the thunder rolling through the walls like the earth itself was clearing its throat. He sat by the fire, mending a torn leather strap by lamplight, boots propped near the hearth, unbothered. Storms came. Storms left. That was the nature of things. What was not the nature of things, not in any way Elias had been prepared for, was the sound that followed the last crack of lightning. A crash. Then a low, resonant groan. Something enormous landing on wood. He set down the strap, picked up his lantern, and opened the front door. The dragon on his porch was the largest living thing he had ever seen. He would learn later that Aurelian's form carried the resonance of the feminine in the old sky tongue, was coiled into an improbable shape, her massive scaled body folded around the porch posts and across the steps like a river forced through too narrow a canyon. Her wings were half-furled and trembling. Scales that should have gleamed gold in firelight were dull and streaked with something dark. Rain hammered the roof above her. She had clearly tried to fit herself under the overhang and mostly failed. One enormous amber eye opened and looked at Elias. Elias looked back. He had heard stories about dragons. Everyone had. Most of those stories involved scorched villages, tribute demanded, livestock vanished in a single swallow. He had heard the Sky Clans were at war with something, a shadow corruption creeping out of the northern ridges, something that ate light. He had not paid those stories much attention because he had fields to manage and a roof that needed patching before winter. He looked at the trembling wings. The dark streaks on her scales. The sheer exhaustion in that one open eye. "You look terrible," Elias said. The eye blinked. "Can you fit any further under the overhang?" He lifted the lantern to assess the geometry. "If you pull your left wing in, that one, you'd have roof cover from the shoulders down." A long pause. Then, slowly, the dragon shifted. The whole porch groaned. One of the support posts cracked ominously. The wing folded tighter. More of her gleaming, battered body slid under shelter. "There," Elias said. "Better." He went inside, came back with a wool blanket, completely useless, he knew, but the gesture felt correct, and draped it across what he could reach of her neck. Then he went back in, set a pot of water to boil, and wondered privately if dragon wounds needed anything or healed on their own. In the morning, she was still there. She did not leave the next day either. Or the day after. Elias worked around her with the pragmatic patience of a man who had once spent 3 weeks nursing a wounded bull back to health and understood that recovery had its own schedule. He brought water in the largest barrel he owned. He did not ask questions. He gave her the south-facing side of the yard for sunlight. He patched the porch post she'd cracked. On the 4th day, she spoke. "You have not tried to claim a boon." Her voice was low and vast, like wind through a cave. "You have not asked my name. You have not sent word to the Sky Council." "Didn't see my business," Elias said, not looking up from the fence post he was setting. "You were hurt. You needed somewhere dry." Silence. "I could have killed you," she said. Not a threat. More like a confession she was working out herself. "Could have," he agreed. "Didn't." Another silence, longer. "My name," said the dragon slowly, as though testing whether the words were safe to release, "is Aurelian. I am the High Dragon. Supreme Commander of the 14 Sky Clans." Elias set down his post-driver and looked at her. She was watching him with both eyes now, great amber lanterns, steady and old and tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. "That sounds like a lot of responsibility," he said. "It is." She exhaled, and the breath curled like smoke without fire. "I have been fighting the null corruption for 6 seasons. We drove it back 3 nights ago. I did not entirely survive the driving. But mostly survived." "Mostly," she agreed, and something in her huge chest shifted in a way that might, in a smaller creature, have been called a wry smile. They sent searchers on the 9th day. Elias saw them coming from the ridge, 12 dragons, smaller than Aurelian but enormous by any human measure, flying in formation with the sharp precision of a military escort. He walked to the edge of his property, planted his feet, and waited. The lead dragon landed 30 yards out, scorching the grass, and fixed him with a gaze that probably worked very well on kings. Human. You will surrender the high dragon to our custody immediately. She's not in my custody, Elias said. She's a guest. She'll leave when she's ready. We are the first wing of the Sky Council. You will. I heard you. Elias crossed his arms. And I'm telling you she's resting. She's been fighting your war for 6 seasons. She can have 9 days on a porch. The first wing's eyes narrowed to slits. Do you know what I could do to you? Probably quite a lot, Elias admitted. But Aurelian's right behind me and she looks like she's standing up, so I'd think carefully. She was. Slowly, with the deliberate weight of mountains deciding to move, Aurelian had risen from her place beside the porch. Her scales had recovered their gold in the past 9 days, burnished and deep, catching the morning light like hammered coins. The exhaustion was not gone, but it had retreated behind something older and steadier, authority. The first wing went very still. Commander, it said, and the word came out odd and small. He is under my protection, Aurelian said, and the words fell on the clearing like stones dropped into still water. His hearth received me. His roof sheltered me. In the old law and the new, this homestead stands under my mark. She turned her enormous head and looked down at Elias. If you will accept it. Elias considered this. Does it come with any obligations? He asked. Only that I may return, she said. When the sky grows heavy. He thought about the porch. He thought about the cracked post he'd already repaired. He thought, obscurely, about the wool blanket, which was too small to cover a dragon but had seemed important anyway. I'll put a proper beam in, he said. Sturdier. In case the landing is rough next time. The Sky Clans wrote it into their histories. In the 9th year of the Null War, the high dragon Aurelian fell wounded to the Rowan homestead in the valley of the Grey Spine Mountains. The human Elias Rowan, without knowledge of her name or rank, without demand for reward, without fear sufficient to turn her away, gave her shelter, water, and rest. When the first wing came to retrieve her, he stood between them and his guest. It is recorded that the high dragon placed her mark upon his land and his line, and that when she returned to the sky she flew stronger than she had in 6 seasons of war, having been reminded, by a man mending fence posts in the rain, that even the greatest of leaders must sometimes simply be allowed to rest. The human, when asked by the Sky Council's historian what he had thought when he first opened the door and found the commander of 14 clans collapsed on his porch, reportedly said, I thought she looked cold. This was recorded faithfully, because the historian could not determine what else to do with it. The beam Elias installed was solid pine, double mortised, rated for weight he hoped he'd never have to calculate precisely. The dragon returned the following spring. She brought no fanfare. No escort. Just herself, dropping out of a clear sky at dusk, landing with a care that only bent one fence rail, folding her wings with the practiced ease of something that had done this before. Elias came out with the lantern. She was already settling in under the new overhang, which fit considerably better than the old one. Good beam, she said. I do good work, he said. He went inside. He put the kettle on. He did not ask about the war, or the sky, or the weight she carried in that vast amber gaze. Some things a person doesn't need to ask about. Some doors just need to be opened.